Okay, welcome back, friends. I continue my conversation with Sridhar Balakrishnan, Group CEO of Duroflex, on the key challenges that he has seen CXOs face and what could be done about them. Welcome back, Sridhar.
Thanks, Ramesh.
So, Sridhar, the next one is what if a CXO doesn't fit with the values and culture of his workplace? So, what can he do about it? What are the options before him? Yeah, please go ahead.
This is actually a very, very interesting question, Ramesh, and I'll break it into two parts. I think one is within the organization, the CXO is growing into another role within the organization, and second is making career choices outside the organization, right? Within the organization, if somebody spent some considerable amount of time, obviously some nuances do change because the cultural codes of a company do change with business needs, right? It's not that, what worked earlier would work. So it is, while the core is intact, but it's very important for a professional CXO, or it's not, this is true for any individual, to adapt, to be deeply aware of the changes that are happening around and to adapt. Because the fact of the matter is that the business values will flow out of what is required to win in that particular business, right? Soft or hard, whatever. Very important to be aware, very important to seek clarity in terms of if there is a change in the cultural codes of the company, what is expected from that individual in terms of behavior, action, and results. There is nothing wrong in seeking clarity and working on it. The second thing which happens is when you shift companies at CXO levels. I think here, personally, I've always believed that doing a thorough due diligence of what are the cultural codes, one is the stated and unstated cultural codes of the organization becomes extremely important. Okay, and it is important even before making the change to have a realistic sense of whether one would be able to adapt and manage or whether one would be a violent misfit. If one is going to be a violent misfit, I'm using the word violent just to illustrate a point. It's best not to step into those roles because within 6 to 8 months, you start feeling uncomfortable. It will not work for either of you. But if you're clear that there are certain nuances you need to adapt, I think you have to try and be conscious about what are the elements you need to change and adapt and move ahead. Both cases, unless there is a dramatic misalignment of cultural codes and values, the key is in being absolutely sensitive, being self-aware, seeking clarity in terms of expected behavior, codes, and expected results. I think this is what generally typically helps, Ramesh.
So great, Sridhar. So what I picked up from this particular piece of conversation was seeking clarity, resolving, in other words, internally resolving any such issues of being misaligned. That's one. And when changing an organization, besides all the other factors which are important, also seeing checking out whether values, culture, in reality, as it operates, you are going to, by and large, fit in and you're comfortable. Great, Sridhar. So let me ask you the last one. Thank you for your patience.
No, Ramesh, pleasure is mine here.
So the last one is about Sridhar. At this CXO kind of a level, people facing challenges, any kind of challenge, what kind of support systems exist within organizations that you're seeing, especially in relation to when it looks at internal or external coaching support? Would it help these leaders? And if so, in what way would it help?
So Ramesh, I had a coach in Marico quite some time back and I found it very value adding. So I think what typically tends to happen is I don't recall the specific context of the coaching agenda. It's quite some time back. What really helps is the fact that my coach could show me the mirror in terms of what he thought were the issues in a psychological safe environment, right? Without being intrusive, without making me defensive about it. And I think the action plan which I worked out was facilitated by the coach. The fact of the matter is, what I liked about the coaching sessions that I had with him was nothing was prescribed. The coach didn't come in, obviously he did a lot of pre-work, but he didn't come in with any fixated agenda. He let me evolve my own action plan during the coaching journey. All that he used to keep doing was checking whether I was progressing on those action plans, and he used to keep nudging me in the right direction whenever he felt I was going off course. So I am a big believer in the whole concept of coaching because there's a lot of difference between mentoring and coaching, and I think professionals need both. Coaches, in my view, help you find your own answers and facilitate the process in a safe environment. I have found it extremely useful. Typically, we used to use coaches where people were making that transition from CXO -1 to CXO roles. And in my view, people used to find it very, very helpful. The other support system is also mentors who have basically been there and done it, and a strong ecosystem of friends and professionals within the org and outside. It's it really helps. I think surrounding yourself with people who can kind of, one is obviously show you the mirror and help you navigate your own journey, and also support you psychologically when, when times are tough. So I think this is typically how it's played out in my case, and I have personally found it very helpful.
That's great. Sridhar, thanks so much for sparing your time for that rich insights of yours.
Thank you.
And for being so generous in sharing your perspective for the benefit of CXOs all over, as well as people who aspire to rise to that level. Thanks again, Sridhar.